and welcome to Shift, the podcast that attempts to bridge the gap between employees and management. Joining me today is Nicholas Campazano Hill, aka, as we know and love him, Nick Chill, and he's here to join us, and I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here today.
Yes, very exciting. We got a lot of good topics. I know we talked a little bit about this, but just from your kind of perspective, what's your take on employee retention? Because I know we talked about that last time we did a video.
So employee retention. So my coworker, he he was there for came like a year before I did, and he left earlier this week inside the department.
Oh, you have another one that left? This was because this was.
Well, this one, he was he wanted he wanted to first go into uh different mail services. Like he wanted to be like the ones who wanted to get the mail from all the dorm rooms and drive it around.
Okay, so for
But then
clarification,
he eventually went back to security because you would get um, more hours, and you can get different hours. You can go midnight to 8, 8 to 4, 4 to 12, and you can also work the weekend, so you get more availability. So that was one of the main reasons why he went back to security.
interesting too that you say that he first requested a new position within that department. So that was kind of asking for a little bit of help, see if you could do this for me. And then we saw the outcome, which I remember when we talked maybe now, a little bit over 6 months ago, when a couple of your team members were dropping like flies there for a while.
Yeah, one, he unfortunately, his father had health issues, so he had to go to Florida. He tried to make it work, but it would be he would use too much I guess sick time, family time. So if you have
Interesting.
health problems, he was you could be there for a while, so we can't hold your position. But
And where was his father at the time? Was he in
his
Florida when he was
yeah,
working?
he was in Florida. Yeah, so it's he kind of be kind of tough to come back.
So there was no relocation happening while he was working at BU. It's just that his hometown was Florida that entire time. So
Yeah,
did he
yeah.
get a job out of college? Right out of college?
So he said he said he was first in Virginia actually, and then he eventually um, moved to Boston, and then it was just out of the blue that he had to go to Florida for his father's health problems. But BU did say even though he left in the middle of the month, you do keep your benefits until the end of the month. So I thought
Yeah.
that is nice.
Yeah, he was in
It
a
doesn't
tight
end the day
spot.
you leave, so that's good.
That is good. He was in a tight spot though, because
Yeah.
he had to use sick time, and he felt like he had a right as. How long was he with the company for, in the mailroom?
He was only in the mailroom for a couple of months, but he had been with BU doing the COVID testing for 2 years. So he'd been at BU for 2 years,
2 years. Okay.
and
So
then they stopped the COVID testing, and then BU was anyone who did that, you have until the end of the year to get a different position, or you get severance pay.
interesting. Interesting. And when you talked to him just one on one, how did he feel about the whole situation in terms of?
He wanted to stay, but BU said basically it was weird. Unless it was your wife or something who had health problems, they couldn't accept this sick bereavement leave or something like that. I
Interesting.
was like, oh,
Interesting.
that stinks, because he did wanted to stay the job.
That is really interesting. Now, ever since that happened, was he a manager or was he another packer or another?
But he had the same position as me, senior mail assistant. Then before that, he was doing the COVID testing at BU, so he was helping out.
Yeah, so he transferred
That's
departments within BU
Yeah,
itself.
he
Yeah.
transferred the departments. Yeah.
That's so as a manager, so he was loyal, he wanted to stick to it. He had been with BU for 2 years, so he probably trusted BU, and then he was asking for an exception in bereavement to do this for his family. So
Yeah.
that is interesting. Did they replace him? Was my follow-up question.
No, they didn't replace him. So, back up. The first person who was with me, who was in the mailroom before me, he left in February of. Well, he went to a different position, BU, in February 2022. Then, this other person, it took 4 months. He came in June, and then he left like, kind of like mid to late August. So now it's been like 3 months, and they still haven't replaced his position yet.
So you see how that's kind of like a glaring issue, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
with if a company's struggling with retention or they're trying to fill spots, and then you have someone who's loyal, who's pretty excited about the job, who's dependable. We'll speak a little bit more about what you thought of him as a worker himself, but he reaches out. He's trying to get some accommodations, and they pretty much denied him, to say it nicely. I've been seeing that a lot. I've been seeing that a lot in conversations I've had around the working environment, of not being heard, not being accommodated. So, would you speak to that as being a little bit of an issue right now?
yeah. So another person left. She like retired in like 2020 because of COVID, and then there was another person. She went to South Carolina. She left like in January of this year, and then another person. She retired September of this year. So like, yeah, we're down a lot of positions.
Oh no. Yeah, that sounds tough.
Yeah.
That sounds tough. So you have to factor that in, like a couple people that are being let go or that not being accommodated, and then a couple people that are retiring. So that's a that's going to affect you head on as a company, as a college, as a university. More work to do though. This is a job for shift for sure, because supply is slowing down and it's harder for employees to manage around it. So
Yeah.
that's going to be happening to everyone. So I appreciate you sharing. It's great insight as always, and I thank you for being on the show.
Bro, great. Happy to be on the show anytime.
Yeah, more to come.